Hey, this is Brandon Jones, author of the award-winning College Readiness 101 Workbook series, here with another episode of the College Readiness 101 podcast. Now, as y'all know, if you've been listening, we have been having discussions with college students, talking about what their perspective is like, what their experience has been, and kind of what they learned about themselves. And so I want to continue this conversation with Miss Alana Hall. I've known her for a long time. I'm so glad I got a chance to get her on this podcast. Alana, how you doing today?
I'm good, Brandon. How are you?
I'm doing well. So for those who don't know you, obviously I do, but for those who don't know you, they may be watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast. Tell them a little bit about yourself.
Yes. So, hi, everyone. My name is Alana Hall. I'm a recent graduate of Georgia Southern University, and I am a soon-to-be first year Master's of Social Work student at UGA. So I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, live in the Stockbridge area, and yeah.
All right, that's it. So I got my UGA shirt on for you, right? So I know you're going, right? And you're going to get a graduate degree, which is great, right? So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm been talking to all of the students, and the purpose of these conversations is to kind of help those individuals who are coming behind you with kind of what it was like for you, right? So we'll start first off with, how did you settle on Georgia Southern? So we know you went to Georgia Southern, you graduated, you're about to go to UGA. Kind of, how did you settle on Georgia Southern out of all of the schools in the state of Georgia, all the other schools that you were interested in? Why Georgia Southern?
Yeah, so I will first start out saying Georgia Southern was not my first choice. Georgia Southern was really like my safety school. Like when I was looking at schools for undergrad, I was really wanting to go out of state, but I had to face the reality of out of state fees and trying to get as many scholarships as I could. So basically the financial part. Also, I was able to get into the honors program at Georgia Southern as well. So that was another thing that kind of gravitated me towards Georgia Southern. And as far as like the distance, since I'm from Georgia, I didn't want to stay in state. I wanted to go out of state, but it was far enough to where I could be away from my parents and family, but close enough to, where if something happens, they could get to me.
Yeah, right.
And yeah. And then also I did have the opportunity to stay a weekend with actually a friend that I knew at Georgia Southern. So I was able to kind of see like the social life and the people there, and really got to talk and get one-on-one conversations with them on their experience. And that's how I made my decision.
Yeah. Now, Georgia Southern is one of the top schools, right, in the state, right? It's a well-known school here, and they got a pretty good football team. And so you went down there. You said that you got into the honors program, right?
I did.
So you were a very good student in high school, I remember. But tell me a little bit about this honors program. What was that like?
Yeah, so I want to start out by saying, with the honors program, when I initially applied, I didn't get in. So honestly, I was kind of defeated a little bit.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So over the summer, actually, when I was trying to make my final decisions on everything, I actually got a letter in the mail, and they were like, "You got in." So I was like, "Okay, great." So I had made my decision right then. But the honors program at Georgia Southern, I absolutely loved. I had the opportunity to do research. And with you being an honor student, you have to complete an honors thesis. So I was able to complete that. And my project was about the effects of racial discrimination on college students of color or African Americans. So you were able to participate in research with the classes. We took honors classes, which were pretty much kind of like accelerated and more critical thinking based. And they also had smaller class sizes and more like one-on-one time with the teacher to really understand the material and just, learn more.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was very fun. You were able to connect with mentors and different faculty, especially that were in your career field that you were wanting to go into. So, yeah.
Did you tell me before that there was like a different residence halls for students who were in?
Yes. I'm glad you brought that up. So yes, with the honors program, there was a designated dormitory for us. So I stayed in one specific building for all honor students, and that's where I really got my first group of friends.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was really helpful in the classroom as well as socially.
Okay. All right. So, and what was your major there at Georgia Southern?
Psychology.
Psychology. All right. So now you went down there, you graduated. Now you're about to go to UGA.
Yes.
Tell me what's getting you over there to UGA. What's going on?
Yes. So really, it was kind of like a shift in my career field, not so much of like a career change. So my ultimate goal since I was in high school was to become a mental health therapist. But honestly, I didn't really know any other way to get there other than psychology. So that's why I got my bachelor's of science in psychology.
Okay.
So my mind was kind of dead set on, of course, going to graduate school, because you can't do therapy with just a bachelor's. So you have to get a master's or a PhD. So I was like, okay, forget it. I'm gonna go all the way and be a psychologist. But what I didn't realize was there's so much more than just the counseling and the therapy with becoming a psychologist. And actually, from the faculty that I've spoken to that are psychologists, you do more so research than the therapy or private practice. And with me, research isn't my strong point, although it is interesting to like read, but to
that's not what you want to do
all the time, that's not what I wanted to do.
Right.
I wanted to focus more on the practice part. So this actually happened in the midst of the pandemic when it first started. So when I moved back home and I was kind of trying to like figure out, what's going to be my next move, because I knew I had to go to grad school, but it's like, what do I want to do now? Because I don't really want to go the psychologist route, but I still want to be a mental health therapist. So that's when I came across social work. And I actually know a few social workers myself that are friends and family. So I did a lot of my research and talking to them, doing my own research online, through social media, specifically a Facebook group called Black Girls in Social Work. That was very, very helpful. So if you're ever interested in that field, I definitely recommend that. So I did my own research and I found everything out, all the avenues that I could find. And that was what I wanted to do. So once I realized that I wanted to change to that field, I started researching schools, like what was the top social work program in the country, specifically the South, because I didn't want to be too far away.
I got it.
My dad wouldn't let me go that far anyway. So, so I came across 5 schools, UGA, University of Tennessee in Knoxville, UNC and Chapel Hill. What were the other 2? Oh man. Oh well, it was 2 other schools.
And 2 others. Okay.
Yes. Yes, 2 others. But yeah, so I applied to all of those schools, got into all of them. But it was University of Tennessee and UGA that actually were granting me an assistantship. But UGA really stuck out to me a lot because of the emphasis they have on social justice. So in lieu of finding out, my passion is kind of really in social work, I also found, social justice and advocacy was something that I really loved as well. Like for me, I've always loved Black history, anything African-American, I absolutely love, especially history and studying it, trying to figure out, what can we do to get to a better place, But I never knew how to marry the two subjects together, psychology and mental health and social justice. So once I found that social work had like all of those components, I was sold.
That was it.
That was it for me. Then with UGA, their program is really, really social justice driven and based. So that was it for me. That's all I needed.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And it's so funny that you said that. And when I talk to students, they always hit on this same subject. It says, where they found out something that they were interested in while they were there. So I started talking to students, but what did you learn? What did you learn about yourself? It sounds like you learned that you're an advocate, right?
Yeah.
So that's interesting that you because for me, and all of my listeners would know this because they listen, but my major was criminal justice, right? And I can't tell you 10 things about criminal justice, but I learned a lot about myself. I learned what I will and won't put up with. I learned, that I am a hard worker, that, that I can, make something out of nothing. And just these things that you learn about yourself when you go away, that I think are life lessons. So, okay. All right. So So now that we got that, Georgia Southern graduate,
Mm-hmm.
a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated,
I
going on to UGA, right? All right. So we'll talk Greek life. We'll talk Greek life in a little bit, right? But before we do that, let's talk about your college preparatory process. So
Yes.
I remember you when you were a high school student, right? So what was your college preparatory process like? I know who your mom is, right? I know what she does, right? And I know the passion and the drive that she has to help students get into college. But from your perspective, kind of what was that like?
Well, if I was the 13 or 14-year-old me, I would have felt like it was kind of like jail. It was very, very strict. It was my mom was very hands-on. We had deadlines to meet. She was always on me about, writing essays for scholarships, for admissions. Like it was a lot.
Yeah.
We did a lot of campus tours, a lot of talk about financial aid and things of that nature. But really, I look back on it now and I'm very grateful for how she stayed on me, because it made me the type of driven person that I am, not only as a student, but as a woman, and a person in the world. Because of her and doing that in my undergrad, preparing me for undergrad, I was able to do most of it by myself for when I was applying to graduate school. The most that I needed help with as far as that process was my admissions essay. Because I never ever submit anything without letting her and like my godmom read it, because those were my go-tos as far as essays. So everything was concrete and where it needed to be. It made sense, flows, all of that. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I know that you came over to the college fair a couple of years. I know that you was doing a couple of things like that. So you were really exposed, as a high school student. Okay. Cool. Now, I know that you also have a younger brother who is getting ready to start his process, right? He's a junior, if I remember, right?
He is.
All right. So one of the last questions I always ask students is kind of, what advice would you give current high school students who are coming behind you? What do you wish somebody would have told you? What do you think is something that they need to know as they prepare for, life after high school?
Yes. The number one thing, do not procrastinate. Don't procrastinate. Don't do it. I'm still guilty of it now, and I'm 22, about to go to grad school. But don't do it. Don't give into it. That was one of my biggest downfalls. Because I was kind of afraid of like the whole workload, because it's a lot. It's a really complex and tedious process, but I feel like as long as you break it down to where it's manageable for you to do in like small chunks, then it's doable. But don't procrastinate by any means. Another thing that I would suggest to high school students is start as early as possible. The earlier, the better. And something else that I wish me and my mom, we had kind of started on earlier, was test prep. Standardized testing is a big thing. It's a big thing. And I don't test well personally. So starting as early as you can and early as possible is something that I wish we would have done. But don't let that deter you from, like your dream school or anything like that. Because test scores are still only one component of you. But still, it's very important. Oh, right. Last thing, also keep your grades up.
Keep your grades up.
Yeah. In lieu of all of this and the college process, your activities, you're still a student in high school, so you have to keep those grades up.
Yep. I had a scare in college. I went to Albany State, and I crossed. I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, the illustrious Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, right? Right. And after I crossed, I actually lost my hope. Hope scholarship, right? And had to earn it back. And I did. I graduated with the GPA that I needed. But the point is that you don't want to be in that position. That really affects other things. And so to hear you say, make sure you keep your grades up, is like, I lived through that, right? So it's something that you got to do. So no, this was great. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me and hanging out and kind of giving some nuggets for the students and parents who are going to be listening.
Oh, no problem. No
I
problem at
really
all.
appreciate it. I really appreciate it.
Thank
So,
you for having me.
oh, anytime. I might be calling you again to do some more once you
Okay.
get up there in Athens,
Yes, let's do
and
it.
get through that. All right, well, let's close this out. So if you like what you're hearing and you want to learn more, you can follow me on my social media platforms at College Readiness 101 on Instagram and Facebook. You can visit my website at collegereadiness101.com to get your copy of the College Readiness 101 workbook series or the Ultimate Grade Level Kits or the Parent Bound series. So we look forward to speaking with you next time. Thank you so much, Alana, and we'll talk to you.
All right. Thank you.